Hello and welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Memories. I am Wax the Brain Hussein, joined by Fash, the $1 million fan. Fash very much living at large in his $1 million cave. How are you doing, Fash?
I'm trying to live the gimmick, Wax. You told me to live the gimmick in our previous meeting. At my end of year review that you were doing as the Brain, as the Vince McMahon, one of you Vince McMahon of this operation. So yeah, I'm trying to live the gimmick. Got things in the background, and really excited about today's episode, which is one I think that we've been kind of hyping up for a few weeks now, and it's really a memory that a lot of wrestling fans have. It's a very short and sweet run we're going to talk about today, but one that people still talk about. If you go on YouTube, people are still checking out these promos that we're going to speak about in their droves. So, really excited to talk about today's topic.
And that topic is the Ultimate Maniacs, the coming together of the Ultimate Warrior and Macho Man Randy Savage. The two top babyfaces in the company at the time, Fash, would you say?
I would say yes, undoubtedly. I mean, there was The Undertaker. We've talked about Bret Hart becoming the champion. And as we say, these two things have really been running in parallel, and we'll discuss the overlap here. But to me, if we're talking about mainstream, it's those two and The Undertaker. Wax, no sleep, no food, no nothing, just maniacism. And do you know there's actually a fine line when you ride between lunacy and maniacism? Am I making sense at all? Am I a skeleton? What are you going to do? Are you going to bury me? Am I making any sense to you at all, Wax? Is it all coming back?
It's all coming back, certainly it is. Two crazy characters, one more crazy than the other, I would say. But
I think here they were both elevating each other's craziness, which is what made it so good.
Yeah, but why don't we just quickly kick off, Fash? Where are we? How did we come to this pairing?
Yeah, so the Ultimate Maniacs, how did they come together? So previously we've discussed SummerSlam 1992, and you can check it out in the archives. And then a few days after SummerSlam 92, we discussed option B, Plan B of Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect. They used Razor Ramon's help, and Ric Flair defeated the Macho Man to become a two-time WWF champion. There's a beatdown post that match, and then the Ultimate Warrior comes out in street clothes and he saves the Macho Man Randy Savage. So obviously they had this kind of bonding at SummerSlam 92 in the aftermath of that match, which we've discussed. And then here, once again, the Warrior comes and helps him to the back. We've joked about how he carries him to the back, a very Macho Man Elizabeth type moment. And what happens then is in the Superstars subsequent to that taping where the Macho Man lost his title, he comes out and he cuts a promo with Mean Gene Okerlund, and he invites out the Ultimate Warrior, and they both basically praise one another. And then it's the iconic moment. This is the September 19th Superstars, I believe. But at the end of this segment, the Macho Man hands over Ultimate Maniac's sunglasses to the Warrior. The Warrior kind of looks at them, places them on his face, very much like Rikishi would do years from now.
Yep.
When he would put on the too cool sunglasses, but essentially he puts them on and he does a bit of kind of quivering and shaking, and they essentially shake hands and a bond is formed, and the audience has been kind of directed in the direction of this being a new team called the Ultimate Maniacs. We always know the Macho Man likes to talk about macho madness and maniacism, and obviously the Ultimate Warrior kind of rides that line as well. So it's quite a quirky name. It works pretty well. And I thought the sunglasses touch was cool. And then the Macho Man's got attire which matches. They're going with the yellow and the red here, Wax, which is very interesting. Hulk Hogan's colors, and Hulk Hogan is no longer in the company, but maybe some subliminal messaging there as well. But that's essentially it. It's a simple segment on Superstars, which really, tells the audience that these guys are now a tag team. What else is interesting there, though, is that the Macho Man very much positions the Ultimate Warrior as Ric Flair's next challenger, and really outlines his own feud with Razor Ramon. So we discussed this in our last couple of episodes, that very much at this point that direction seemed to be Ric Flair versus the Ultimate Warrior for the WWF Championship. Of course, we know we've covered Bret Hart's title victory. That didn't happen, which was very surprising at the time. But certainly in this first segment, that's where they're motioning towards. Do you have any memories of this initial segment, or was it more the stuff that came after this?
I mean, I do remember this. I remember this whole period, and it's funny now that I look back on it, and it's the first time I've revisited this period. I forgot just how short this run was. In my mind, it was
Yeah,
it was several months, but in actuality, it was a few fleeting appearances in one match in essence. But
yeah.
there were some great lines in this first promo, and both guys. We talk about just how sort of crazy they are and how much they feed into their own characters and how much they believe in their own characters. And Warrior with you have at the same time a friend who will stand behind you, beside you, and in front of you at any time of need. Which was a great line. And when Macho Man gives him the sunglasses, he says to him, these will show you your future and destiny. How wrong Macho Man was about those glasses because they didn't show very much.
Well, the glasses maybe ahead the things that were going to happen in the next month or so. But as you say, it's great in terms of people once again will go into Warriors promos and look, these are the zaniest promos he's going to ever cut, but they are so much fun. I mean,
Yep.
going back and watching these, and just even reading the comments under these promos, they're just outlandish. And but I think what you do see between these two guys is a genuine respect. And we've heard, he's there, Macho Man and Warrior were friends in real life, one of Warrior's few friends maybe in the wrestling business. But, you actually saw that coming through. It didn't seem like it was artificial. It seemed very much like, these two guys liked
Yep.
one another and were totally, as you say, living their characters, no matter how zany they might be.
Yeah, and let's very quickly touch upon the sort of opposite side to the Ultimate Maniacs. We've got Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect. Obviously, they've been a combination for some time, and joining them is Razor Ramon, who got himself involved in the match between Ric Flair and Macho Man. In essence, cost Macho Man the title, and straight away he's getting a big push to be Macho Man's sort of main opponent over the next few months. And just the one thing I want to pick up from what Mr. Perfect says, he's not worried about these ultimate losers, as he calls them. And I thought that was a pretty funny statement to make. So do you think they're worthy opponents for the Ultimate Maniacs in their first sort of feud, first and only feud, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, this was no doubt, going to be a huge match. I mean, Razor Ramon was an interesting one. We've spoken about how quickly he was pushed to the top. We talked about the Undertaker getting such a push. Razor Ramon got it straight off the bat. So I think at that time, if we're going back to our 8 and 9-year-old selves, we're probably thinking this is a bit weird. This guy, don't really know him. Why is he in this? But he was certainly carrying himself as a big time player, and his promos were, quite main eventish. So he's getting pushed on commentary, he's getting pushed in the shows. He seemed a little bit, obviously, a newcomer, you're a little bit annoying about that, but I think the feuds wrote themselves. Razor Ramon cost the Macho Man. They've had an altercation, the whole thing about the gold, the toothpick in the face, Macho Man, on the podium with him and Mean Gene attacking him costing the title works. Ric Flair and the Ultimate Warrior's really been building pre-SummerSlam when this whole angle with Mr. Perfect came about. So I think, yes, I mean, at this point, you probably wouldn't have thought there'd be this sort of match, but, the pairings make sense to me. And it becomes official, Wax, because on the October 10th, Superstars, the show opens with Mean Gene Okerlund essentially confirming the main event of Survivor Series 1992, and it's going to be a big tag team match. It's going to be the Ultimate Maniacs against Razor Ramon and Ric Flair. So they really set it up just over a month before the event. The event's supposed to be on Thanksgiving Eve 1992, so that's November 25th, 1992. So they've set it up. You can kind of see it coming, and it's a tag team match. What's interesting here, Wax, and we'll talk about it as we get more into the kind of Survivor Series, but at this point, you'd probably be expecting a 4-on-4 match of some kind,
Yep.
as opposed to a tag team. So I remember at the time being surprised that why is it a tag team match as the main event? Because up to this point, we'd really been conditioned into multiple people matches. Yes, you'd had The Undertaker against Hulk Hogan the year before, but really you would have thought this was a little bit different. And we'd obviously learned that the whole event would be pretty different from previous incarnations.
Yeah, so let's talk about what the Ultimate Maniacs get up to, and very much is a series of promos that will live long in the memory. And the first one, in all of them, it's very similar settings. They've got background, backdrop. They're wearing their new bright yellow and orange outfits.
I love
and
these.
red.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and it's really interesting because I think this stuff should have sold out. If it was today's era, they would have pushed this stuff to the masses. Those glasses, the hat, the armbands, the knee pads, the jackets. It looked tremendous.
I even saw the figures and I hadn't come across them. And, I'd put it up in our Instagram story and a couple of people came back to me saying they actually had those figures. And I was like, it'd be great to have them as a collector because I'd never seen them until, years later, just searching. So there's a few of our listeners and watchers that actually had those and they looked awesome as well. I mean, I've got the really old school Warrior and Macho Man figures here, which I really remember. This is very much 1980s versions. But that kind of tag team kind of action figure looked pretty cool as well.
So do you want to talk us through some of these promos, Fash, and just what's so amazing?
Yeah, I don't know if I could really do justice to them. I think we'll play some scenes if we can, but it's just each one is crazier than the previous one. And what I loved about it is the Ultimate Warrior just takes it to the next level. I mean, his delivery is what I'd encourage everyone to go and see. I mean, he's really got this rhythmic thing going. Where he's kind of...
I mean, in the very first one, you're right, Macho Man starts talking and all you see is Warrior standing next to him.
He's got the shakes through all of these and he's speaking in a very rhythmic way. And, then he's really summoning various types of concepts and what have you. But that's what I remember, even when as the Macho Man speaking any of these promos, you've got the Warrior shaking in the background. Saying things as the Macho Man's speaking, and Macho Man's brilliant. He's just continuing, and so you're thinking, when they said cut Vince McMahon or whoever it was, you'd wonder if they could keep a straight face, but they were so into it. But as you say, these promos, they were everything from, the ones that really stand out are there's a promo where the Warrior says that the bond between the Macho Man and the Ultimate Warrior is forever and forever, forever.
What about it? Yeah, riding the fine line between lunacy and being a maniac is hard to describe, and there might just not be a definition. But as I look through these shades of maniacism, I know one thing for sure, Nature Boy Ric Flair. You better not be drowning yourself in pity. And Razor Ramon, you better slice open your heart and see what kind of soul you really have. For between the Macho Man Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior, there's a bond that can't be broken forever and ever and ever.
You must sink to the lowest depths before you can reach the greatest heights. See it, the Survivor Series. Oh, yeah!
We know that's not going to be true in terms of kayfabe terms, in terms of what you're going to see on TV. It's not going to be forever, unfortunately. He also, in probably one of the more famous promos, the one I've kind of mentioned here, the no sleep, the no food promo, which you can check out. He talks about the bondage of the Ultimate Maniacs as well.
Take a good look, Razor Ramon and Nature Boy Ric Flair, for what you see across the back of this Macho Man and across the face of this one, the Ultimate Warrior, is the bondage of the Ultimate Maniacs. No sleep, no food, no nothing, just maniacism. As a skeleton, we still walk as Ultimate Maniacs. Therefore, what are you gonna do? Bury us now?
In another promo, he asks Razor Ramon and Ric Flair if they're going to kill them now.
Give all you got till you drop and can't give no more. What are you gonna do? Kill us? You must sink to the lowest depths before you can reach the greatest heights. Different trials and tribulations, yes, we have conquered. Yeah, Razor Ramon, and yes, Ric Flair, we are those type of individuals that you read about, yeah. But you gotta wrestle us, yeah. It's the Survivor Series. We will survive. The Ultimate Maniacs. Dig it, yeah!
So, he's going quite dark, but he's still got this, as I say, this really rhythmic thing going on and the shakes, whereas the Macho Man's really intense.
Yeah, and these are, as I said earlier, these are guys that have really bought into the character, and that really helps them with the delivery. Even though it sounds crazy and it looks crazy, it does come off tremendously well, in my opinion. I think these guys delivered some essential viewing for all of our fans out there, so go and check that out.
Wax, you can see it playing in the background maybe, but I've put on Saturday night's main event. Now, this is what you've just mentioned, and this is the only show at which the Ultimate Maniacs compete for a television audience. And it's really odd because I say Survivor Series main event has been announced for November 25th. It's being hyped on all syndicated shows. It's really being pushed as the main event. Yes, Bret Hart suddenly won the world title. He'll be taking on Shawn Michaels, but this is very much the main event, right? And on this event, Saturday night's main event, which is the second one on the Fox network in the US. Earlier in the year, we've already covered the one where Hulk Hogan and Sid took on The Undertaker and Ric Flair, so check that out in the archives. But this is the second one in this new contract. Prior to this, Saturday night's main event used to be on NBC, but essentially it's a triple crown night, and you're going to have the Ultimate Maniacs, or ran down to the ring there, you can see in the background, challenging Money Incorporated for the tag team titles. You're going to have the British Bulldog defending his title against Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental Championship. And you've got Bret Hart, newly crowned champion, taking on Papa Shango for the WWF Championship. So it's 3 matches, triple crown show. They've got a promo with The Undertaker as well here. But essentially what's interesting here, you mentioned the October date. This show was actually taped on October 27th. And it was aired on the 14th of November. And this is going to be very important coming into our next couple of shows, because the world at this point when the show was taped was fine. But by the time this is going to air on November 14th, there's going to be a huge change, and we'll talk about it in the coming shows. But essentially, this is the only match. And as he's playing in the background, it's a very short match, really around 6 minutes. And it's really the Ultimate Maniacs coming out and treating Money Incorporated like jobbers mostly. I mean, I don't know what you thought about it. What I found interesting was the Warriors that kind of facing peril for a good proportion of this match. And then he gets the hot tag to the Macho Man, who clears house and, hits the big elbow on IRS. But then there's a little bit of tomfoolery, and, essentially both Ultimate Maniacs drop IRS and the $1 Million Man on the outside, and then we get that finish that we absolutely hate. Wax, it's a count out finish at the 6-minute 13-second mark, I believe. Did you have any memories of this match? I remember this show really vividly. It was one of the shows that you guys taped for me, and I remember being really excited about the fact that it was a triple crown and what's going to happen here. And I say this is 11 days before Survivor Series, so I'm really excited about this, and I really remember this well.
Yeah, well, we were talking about this behind the scenes, and you were very keen to cover this show in a lot of detail.
Yeah.
And then when I was doing my research, I was thinking, well, why does FASH want to cover it so much? Because it was the last Saturday night's main event for 14 years. So they clearly killed the wrestling business on television.
Yeah, it's a really low rating. Yeah,
I don't think it had anything to do with the talent on the show. It was more just the times that they were in. In terms of the most memorable moment of the whole show and the whole Ultimate Maniacs run, it was actually their entrance to this match where they both come sprinting down.
Yeah.
And I just remember as a kid that really got me. That was like, I was just full on ready for it. And I thought Money Inc. was a great tag team to be up against in their first and what turned out to be their only match, because they really sold well for them and they really made them look $1 million. There's also an interesting segment, but as part of the match that Bobby Heenan does, the brain scan, which is something we
first time. It's the debut of the brain scan, isn't it?
It's his debut. A pretty half-hearted attempt at something, but it was pretty cool, pretty funny. So yeah, something maybe we need to look forward to.
I was thinking you'd introduce the brain scan. I mean, I tried to kind of mention it a few times, but you finally clocked onto it. So I think in the future you need to use your artistic skills and do some of your own brain scans in future episodes. But yeah, I mean, during this match as well, you've got a promo from Razor Ramon and Ric Flair. They're watching this match, Mr. Perfect in tow as well. And really, once that count out victory is given to them, the crowd pops, so they realize they're not going to see a title change. And as Money Inc. are leaving, the Warrior and the Macho Man give them chase and want to continue the fight. And that's really, I guess, the purpose of this match, because it's going to then develop into, and I'm going to look at that. Look at the Warrior here selling the $1 Million dream. People say, and I was going to say that I thought he's a great seller.
The most selling he's done outside of a match with Macho Man, probably. And yeah, you're right. It's strange that they had the Warrior being the face in peril rather than Macho Man. You always think it'd be the other way around, but maybe this goes to show how giving the Warrior really was and to his partners. And maybe he gets a lot of hate and heat for no reason. But yeah, I thought Ted DiBiase, IRS were the right pairing to put them up against in this match. You're right about the finish. Nobody likes this type of count out finish, but it led to them chasing them to the back, and that's when Mr. Perfect, Ric Flair, and Razor Ramon come out and give them a beating at the end of the aisle. And you think at that point you're set for a great Survivor Series match, but who knows, Fash?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. And what I found really interesting here is at the end, the Warrior covers the Macho Man Randy Savage and protects him. And this has been a kind of thing throughout this. It seems the Warrior continuously protects the Macho Man here as well. He covers them up as the guys are, kicking in to them. So they're really kicking into the Warrior, and that's the end of the segment. So as you say, you're really jacked up for them to get their revenge now at Survivor Series. But something's going to happen at the end of the show, which might blow that out of the water. We'll get to that, Wax, but I have a feeling, given they had this, few matches between the $1 Million Man and the Ultimate Warrior, maybe in the future there was going to be an actual, pay-per-view tag team title match here between these two teams, or maybe even a title change down the line. Who knows? It just feels as if, when you're taking on a guy on the house shows, you're not really connected with them. Maybe something's going to happen here, but we don't know. But I had the feeling that maybe they would return to this at some point, given Brett was the champion now, and you'd have to continue to position these guys moving forward. But we'll talk about all those variables in coming shows. I mean, we're kind of at this match is the first match of this Saturday night's main event. Before we get to the ending and how the Ultimate Maniacs are going to leave some sadness with us, let's maybe quickly talk about the other two matches on this show. Now, Wax, you'd think that'd be it, right? We're all excited now. We want the Ultimate Maniacs to get their revenge. I know I'm excited. I know you watching this would be excited. But then we're going to be a little bit deflated because they go back to Vince McMahon and Bobby the Brain Heenan. And you think you're just going to close the show, right? But then Bobby Heenan is on the phone and he's really excited. And they've got this green screen in the background. What I remember the most about this green screen, and there's this jobber just standing in the ring, so you can tell this is probably not from the actual shoot, right? They've shot this after, and there'll be a reason behind it. But suddenly, Bobby Heenan puts the phone down and someone's saying, what's going on? And Bobby Heenan essentially says he's got a big scoop. The Ultimate Maniacs will not be going to the Survivor Series together. One of them will have a new partner. Vince McMahon looks shocked. And that is the end of the show on a big cliffhanger. So really weird, because the whole show, the commentary, everything is still talking about the Ultimate Maniacs and this big main event. But this final segment tells us that the Ultimate Maniacs no longer exist. The plot has certainly thickened, Wax. Which one of these two won't be there? What's going on? And I guess we were very much looking to tune in to find out what was going on. But at that moment in time, I think as kids, our hearts must have sunk a little bit.
Yeah, because it was just too early for the end of the Ultimate Maniacs, wasn't it? And we'll pick off in the storyline there and talk about what I think is probably one of the greatest pivots.
It is one of the greatest pivots,
but
what caused it, who's going, and what we're also going to learn is this show is also going to be the last appearance of someone else. So I think we'll talk about that in our next couple of episodes, Max. This is very much linked to the scandals that we keep talking about. I think it's time we covered that because it really gives you the background of what happened. What are these two alluding to in this angle? What was the driver behind it? And also debuts, departures, the road to Survivor Series. More faces are going to be leaving our screens. Some new ones are going to be coming in. We really need to give the background. As you say, there's that tremendous angle which is going to try to fix the situation. Let's go back to it. Survivor Series is on the 25th of November. This was aired on the 14th of November. You've got a couple of shows between. You've got a primetime wrestling show and you've got Superstars in Challenge. There's not much time to make changes. And they've suddenly thrown a bombshell about, the Ultimate Maniacs not going to Survivor Series together. It made us sad, but also we were very much intrigued to find out what happens next. We won't tell you right now. We'll keep the suspense going for people that don't know. I'm sure you do, but it'd be great to revisit it properly. But essentially, that is going to put a bow on this episode and this run. So really, Wax, if we're being truthful with it, yes, they teamed up before SummerSlam. Yes, they helped each other out at SummerSlam. But really, this storyline and tag team, bringing it back to the start of our episode and the real core issue of this episode, the Ultimate Maniacs, really only lasted between the 19th of September to the 14th of November, because by the time you get to the 21st Superstars, everything has changed. So really, not even 2 months for this legendary tandem that was put together. So much what could have been. We'll talk about what went wrong in coming shows, but still, when I watch this stuff, it makes me smile. It's still as great and as crazy wrestling can be when you watch these two go at it in these promos, and certainly that one match, showed what could have been as well. As you can see in the background, just playing as we're, calling up, Bobby Heenan is on that phone. He's informing Vince McMahon what's happened, and that is our cliffhanger ending.
Yeah, absolutely right, Fash. What a pairing, what a tag team, what legendary characters they were in the 90s, ones that we probably miss watching wrestling these days. One thing we didn't really talk about is really what were the plans for the Ultimate Maniacs? What should they have been doing post Survivor Series or post Saturday Night's Main Event? Something we'll pick up next time when we talk about exactly what happens to this pairing and to others, and exactly what's going on in the WWF at this time with the steroids angle and everything else, all the other scandals that are going on.
Steroids angle.
Steroids angle. Well,
very much a reality angle. I guess there's two ways of looking at it. You're
exactly.
Right, but we'll talk about that, as you say. You and I watched Spider-Man No Way Home the other day. Wax is part of our crew, and in that we talked about multiverse. When it comes to this topic, and we keep talking about the end of 1982, there is so many different realities that could have taken place, as you say, and we've both got thoughts about what could have happened, as you say, with this tag team and with the person who's no longer going to be part of the WWF featured in this tag team as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to discussing all those variables and the actual reality in our coming shows.
And until then, he's Fash and Wax. Thanks for listening. This has been Wrestling with Memories.